Killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. So then JD said, I don't give a shit what you call it, which I appreciate because we don't care at all what Brian calls anything because they call dudes chicks and it's not appropriate.
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. If they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down.
Kilmar found a new country. Well, he didn't really, but government did. And they said he's going to be sent now to Eswatini. Okay, this guy was in El Salvador. His family's in Guatemala. He says he doesn't want to go anywhere else because he's got fear of being murdered or tortured or whatever. And now the government says, we're happy to accommodate you, Kilmar, and you can go to Eswatini. And you might be asking, Rob, what is Eswatini? It's a good question. I had to learn a lot more about it last night. It's this little country tucked away down here in Africa. It's a landlocked country and things are pretty interesting over there. You can see developing country, lower middle income economy. Their major overseas trading partners are the United States and the EU, see? Now the government is a monarchy, has been ruled by a king since 1986. Elections are held every 5 years and political parties are prohibited from running. Uh-oh, this isn't good. They've got a lot of AIDS over there too. The Swazi population has AIDS. 28% of adults, golly, the 12th lowest life expectancy in the world at 58 years. Also, people 14 years or younger constitute 35% of the population. Well, all right, anyways, so it sounds, like an interesting place. And Kilmar is going to learn a lot about it because the DOJ, the Homeland Security folks have said, you're now going. Now, here is what we got from Bill Malugin. He says, Fox News got this email that ICE sent to Kilmar and his lawyers this afternoon, notifying them that ICE now plans to deport him to a tiny country called Eswatini. Sounds nice. Due to him claiming fear of persecution and torture in Uganda and everywhere else that you could possibly think about sending this guy. And here's what they wrote back over to him. And the dockets are very light right now on this case. Not a lot of activity happening here. And so a lot of this is negotiations happening behind the scenes. Nothing's really getting filed. And here is what they sent. All right, lawyers. Dear Mr. Abrego-Garcia, now, as you know, the United States seeks to remove you from the United States based on your final order of removal, saying we can remove you. And so currently, you're designated to be removed to Uganda, which we also thought was a good option for him too. Your attorney has informed us, however, that you fear persecution or torture in Uganda. Okay, did they make pupusas over there? Did you murder a Barrio gangbanger over there too? The claim of fear is hard to take seriously, writes the government, especially given that you have claimed through your attorneys that you fear persecution or torture in at least 22 different countries. So if he's so concerned, if he's such a danger, other countries want to persecute and torture him, why would we keep him in our country? Is he like an international criminal mastermind or something? Those countries that he says, I'm afraid of: El Salvador, Uganda, Mexico, Belize, Costa Rica, Guatemala, which is where his family is, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, and the rest of the countries. Now, all right, so we won't send you to any of those 22 different countries, big baby. But now, nonetheless, we hereby notify you that we found a new country for you. It's called Eswatini, Africa, signed by the principal legal advisor from Homeland Security. So nice message over there. And I'm sure they're going to say, well, he doesn't want to get AIDS over there. Well, then he shouldn't sleep with infected people. But, otherwise, this is pretty standard process that you would abide by in any country. Anyways, so here is the country you can see. And it's a strange thing. I mean, this guy could just go right back to Guatemala and probably figure out a way to sneak back into the border. But he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to go to Guatemala. He doesn't want to go to El Salvador. He wants to be in America. He says, I'm a new civil rights person and I deserve civil rights of citizenship, even though I broke into your country illegally, trafficked other people illegally into your country, and abused minors on the way in. So he'll go to Eswatini and we'll say good riddance to him. I'm sure he'll file a claim. No, they're going to torture me there too. And so we'll see where this goes. But the DOJ is not playing around. And Homeland is saying, homie is afraid of the entire Western Hemisphere. It's true. The gangbanger is just now, I guess, an international mastermind and everyone's going to persecute him or torture him anywhere. But I thought he was really an innocent person. So what's he so concerned about? Now, we also saw this. We had a lot of reaction to the exploding of cartel members who were smuggling drugs into America to kill Americans. JD Vance came out and he said today, killing cartel members who poison our fellow Americans is the highest and best use of our military, period. So Brian Krasenstein, he says, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. So then JD said, I don't give a shit what you call it. JD said it, not me, which I appreciate because we don't care at all what Brian calls anything because they call dudes chicks and it's not appropriate. We appreciate, man, this new message. Call it whatever you want. Call it a war crime. We're at war. We've been at war with them for a long time. Do you remember all the war on drugs? Remember that? Where'd those drugs come from? Yeah, it's called a war on drugs, not civil negotiation on drugs. And what they were trying to do is really criminalize a bunch of Americans in that. So, just, increase the prison population and call it the war on drugs. If they really wanted to stop the war on drugs, it ended. You know what they would do? Bomb terrorists who are bringing them into our country. That's going to stop it from happening, physically coming into the country. So it seems like it is an effective mechanism of solving a very complicated problem that's killing hundreds of thousands, millions of Americans over generations. And a lot of people that have been hit by drug deaths, your boy here included in our family. So it is a serious thing that impacts a lot of people. And so Trump took them out. And it's interesting. I mean, we'll take out everybody else. We'll give the Ukrainians intelligence, assets, and all the things. But maybe it's like the US sets it up to go take out Russians for the Ukrainians. And then the Ukrainian commander's like, okay, is everything good? They're like, yeah, but we can't launch it. He's like, okay, cool. Launches it. And we'll expend hundreds of billions of dollars in efforts. And we'll have Lindsey Graham and a bunch of these maniacs in there say, we're going to go kill Russians over there. And then all of a sudden we do something in the interest of America. And where's Lindsey Graham coming out saying, this is a great thing? Maybe he has. I haven't seen it. But we'd like to see them exercise the American military for American interest to protect our homeland. Otherwise, what are we doing protecting everybody else around the country and having our ships just float around doing laps in the ocean while terrorists, cartel members are bringing in drugs into our country? So we're happy to see JD Vance really doesn't give a crap what anyone else says because we appreciate that. But Venezuela is getting a little uppity over there. They say Venezuelan jets now fly over the U.S. Navy ship in a show of force. And Trump didn't appreciate this. He commented about it over at the White House yesterday. Says the flyover took place 2 days after the United States took out this terrorist boat. The armed Venezuelan F-16 fighter jets flew over the U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer, called Jason Dunham, in a show of force on Thursday. See what happens. Now, this is an escalation of tensions between Trump and the Trump administration and Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. The U.S. warship did not engage, but they did say this. This highly provocative move was designed to interfere with our counter-narco terror operations. The cartel running Venezuela is strongly advised not to pursue any further effort or to obstruct, deter, or interfere with counter-narcotics and counter-terrorism operations carried out by the U.S. military. In an apparent response to the Venezuelan fighter flyover, the Pentagon ordered 10 F-35s to Puerto Rico as part of the larger counter-narcotics operation. The Department of War said. What are they going to say? Defense Department official? I guess we'll just call it War Department official, right? The deployment was previously reported by Reuters. The flyover, earlier reported by CBS, took place 2 days after the deadly military strike. Trump has said that 11 members were taken out. It was unclear whether they were given a chance to surrender. Okay, I mean, look, what is this? Is it the same thing with the Iranians that we bomb on behalf of the Israelis? Did they say that the Iranians were going to get a chance to, surrender? I don't think so. So a lot of it, there's a war porn that's out there. Unless it's for American interest, everybody's excited about it. Unless we're protecting our homeland, then all of a sudden it's like, you can't do that. What are you doing? The Dunham is part of a small armada of warships and surveillance planes the Pentagon has been amassing. Trump signed a still secret directive last month instructing the Pentagon to use military force against some countries that they've called terrorists. On Wednesday, Rubio also commented about it, and Maduro was out as well, and we're grateful for their statements, but we don't care. Also, Nick Sorter clipped this one for us from yesterday, and the question came up, yeah, there was a little flyover there, Mr. President. You're the commander-in-chief. What are you giving permission to do based on your authority in response to these incursions?
Venezuela flies jets over U.S. naval vessels again.
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want. If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do. All right?
Sure. Yeah, you can shoot them down right out of the sky.
You said they didn't go over.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. And then they went into a G20 conversation and kind of kept the press conference going. So we'll shoot them down. You threaten our American military and American homeland interests. That's what the military's for. That's what it exists, not to be a global police force and do the bidding of every other country out there except ours. So here is Rubio also getting into it. This reporter came out and said, Maduro's a good person and we love him.
Mr. Secretary, when it comes to the drug trade, Venezuela is not the most problematic country, but it is a major U.S. adversary. Should we expect smugglers coming from friendly U.S. U.S. allied nations like Mexico and Ecuador to also face unilateral execution from U.S. forces?
Unilateral
and if so, will the
execution.
administration seek authorization for the use of military force?
You're wrong in your question. Number one, Venezuela is a major source, and the reason why is the following. And I've seen a lot of this reporting, and it's fake reporting, and I'll tell you why. It says that somehow Venezuela is not involved in the drug trade because the UN says they're not involved in the drug. I don't care what the UN says. The UN doesn't know what they're talking about. Maduro is indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York. That means the Southern District of New York presented the evidence to a grand jury, and a grand jury indicted him. And then a superseding indictment came out that was unsealed about a year and a half ago that specifically detailed Maduro's actions. So number one, let there be no doubt, Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker in the United States, and he's a fugitive of American justice. Number two, for cooperative governments, there's no need, because those governments are going to help us identify him. Now, they're going to help us find these people and blow them up, if that's what it takes. They're going to help us with it. I don't know if you saw yesterday, Trinidad, a country that has suffered greatly from all these drugs coming out of Venezuela, they were congratulating us for it. They thought it was a great thing because they've suffered from it. So we're going to continue to hunt for, like we always have, but this time, we're not just going to hunt for drug dealers with the little fast boats and say, oh, let's try to arrest them. The president has said he wants to wage war on these groups because they've been waging war on us for 30 years and no one has responded.
That's right.
But there's no need to do that in many cases with the friendly governments, because the friendly governments are going to help us. They may do it themselves, and we'll help them do it.
All right, Rubio crushing it there at the State Department, explaining that we're going to enforce American law and protect American people. And what the liberals want is to bring them in here, roll out the red carpet, have Van Hollen and the rest of them give them multiple hearings and tons of due process that they're not entitled to, get them into the country so that they can get ACLU lawyers to forum shop to various corrupt judges who are cowardly and are now openly biased against the president and not even outing themselves because there's a judicial coup happening right now. And so we'll just take them out. If we can't bring them in here and process them appropriately because we've got a bunch of people cooing in the judiciary, we'll just take them out because the president does have the authority to do that under the Constitution. And you really can't issue an injunction to undo that anymore, okay? You can't say, well, Judge Boasberg ordered you to recompile the incinerated drug terrorists. Not going to happen. So thanks to Rubio and the rest of the administration, we're finally seeing some action on protecting the American homeland. And let's make no mistake about it. There is a foreign invasion. It's 20 million people. They're flying around their flags all across our country, taking over our cities, voting in many instances, becoming police officers, running for office, all of the things, changing flags to represent their homeland, not ours. And so enough of it. We don't need to take it anymore. We just had an election. We just won. And the president's implementing some policy changes. Here's what Stephen Miller had to say about it.
President of Colombia is saying that Cartel of the Suns does not exist. What can you answer, and which message do you send to people in Venezuela after this indictment of Nicolas Maduro?
Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker. He's indicted in federal court. He's a fugitive from justice in America. As I think you're also aware, there's a $50 million reward for the return of Nicolas Maduro. Not just him, his henchmen have also been indicted. So it is a drug cartel that is running Venezuela. This is a very important point. It's not a government, it is a drug cartel, a narco-trafficking organization that is running Venezuela. And this has been documented in federal court, and indictments have been secured. The people of Venezuela have been suffering and struggling under the reality of a nation that is so rich in resources, so rich in reserves, that is run by Maduro, the head of the cartel that you referenced, the Cartel de los Sols. That is absolutely one of the most ruthless criminal cartels on the planet. And many Americans may not realize that the drugs killing their kids are coming from Maduro, and also the criminal aliens killing their kids are coming from Maduro. So he's sending his drugs, he is sending his killers, his assassins into our communities, and he's working directly with other designated foreign terrorist organizations like the FARC in Colombia and all the Mexican drug cartels.
District Court.
So it's one continuous loop. For decades and for years, for generations, we used our military to engage in action against terrorists in the Middle East and in Africa, while leaving unharmed the terrorists in our own hemisphere who are responsible for so much more American deaths, so many more American deaths, who have spilled so much blood across the Western Hemisphere, who have bereaved so many parents and families, and who have contributed to such a horrific cycle and just nonstop, relentless surge of violence in our cities. Every major city in America is suffering from cartel violence. Even the U.S.-based gangs are working directly with these cartels. The drugs, the guns, the weapons, the cash, the organization. We've been occupied by cartels for far too long.
Decades.
President Trump is finally allowing and directing the United States military to use its authorities under the Constitution to defend America from the terrorist organizations that have run free for too long in our own hemisphere.
Yeah, Stephen Miller. So we're grateful to see the enforcement of American interest in our own hemisphere. We have a lot of interest here. We don't want our people dropping dead all over the place. And if they want a real drug war, as they've wanted for a long time, they've now got one. We have it now, and we're finally striking back. Nice to see it. And while all this is happening, hopefully Kilmar is packing his bags for his trip to Eswatini over in Africa. He's going to do great there. No torture there. Very nice people. And so we'll be looking forward to his flight out of here.